Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Silver Tent TV. I'm your host, Siobhan Reardon, along with my dog Elsa, who can occasionally join in, and we just ride with it. The Silver Tent is a global platform for women over 50. It's a place to come and be supported, nurtured, and to really help women pursue those dreams that have yet to be realised. To create those projects that have always been on the back burner. Now's the chance to do it. And it's also a platform for us to share the wisdom of women over 50. By the very fact of our age, we've done decades of life and we've built a bit of wisdom along the way. And with that in mind, I have the wonderful Helen Morris with us today. A very warm welcome to you, Helen.
And lovely to be here. Thank you very much.
So Helen is, I know we're going to have a fascinating conversation, Helen, but I think you're a symbol of a woman beginnings and not being afraid to pursue those dreams. So Helen, you've worked in the IT industry for over 40 years to a very senior level. So you've experienced that being a woman in a very male-dominated environment.
Absolutely.
And we'll share a bit about navigating that. And you've also been a mindfulness practitioner for 15 years, and I'm really looking forward to exploring that a bit more. But let's kind of begin with a woman alone in the IT sector. Yeah. And what that experience was like. You were one of those early pioneers.
I was, yes. I started work as a mainframe operator. So I was using punch cards and all sorts of exciting things like that. Just go to a science museum, or my career is behind glass now, but never mind. But it was very, very male dominated. By the time I got into IT, the big burgeon of women working in IT in the early 60s had disappeared completely, and it was mostly men. And women have different concerns and different requirements to men very often. We have duties of care that perhaps men don't have. It's getting better all the time, but I was a mum to 4 kids, a daughter to a fairly aged, well, in the end, a fairly aged parent. Bless Dad, we lost him when he was 93. So we had the concerns of looking after young folk, looking after older folk, and being able to mix all those things in with having a working life and feeling responsible for all of those personal things while still maintaining a career and still being just as good as the blokes and having just as much energy and just as much drive and all of that without appearing pushy.
It's and I'm really feeling for you. I used to run my own training consultancy, and I worked with male colleagues, and we would co-facilitate together. And I always remember one week, I'd had a really busy week and I'd had no time to do the washing. My home was an absolute pigsty, and then we'd run a very intensive residential course. And at the end of it, we were both really looking forward to going home. But I knew I was going home to my washing, to a very dirty house that needed cleaning, whereas he was going home to his shirts being ironed, there was a cooked meal waiting for him, everything. And it really struck me, that imbalance between male and female responsibilities.
Absolutely. It does make an enormous difference. It puts women in work under such an enormous amount of stress and pressure. And that's one of the things that I've worked with, going through management and being responsible for other people and their well-being and their welfare at work, because that's what a manager is for after all. Making sure that they are comfortable and that they're content and that they're happy and that their mental well-being is being looked after just as much as the physical needs, and making sure they hit their tasks and all those kind of things. That's been a big part of what I've done throughout my IT career. So it's been really important to me.
Yeah, and there's also been some personal experience mixed up in
there.
There
has,
well.
Yes, there has. Over 40 years, unfortunately, I was diagnosed with depression when I was only 16. And at that time, it wasn't handled brilliantly well. I'm 56 now, so 40 years ago, they weren't particularly good at helping you with depression. It was a bit more clinical and take a tablet, stiff upper lip, and off you go. So I've had a 40-year journey with learning to live with my depression and the consequent anxiety that came with it, and also all the pressures of being female, and doing all those things in the workplace and feeling that I had to be better than the blokes to get on, and managing teams of quite bolshy men sometimes, as a woman, keeping them in line and keeping them in control and doing all of those things. But my personal journey with depression and anxiety and looking after other people in the workplace meant that I found techniques and coping strategies to help me get through my day and to help me do what I needed to do. And one of those was mindfulness.
Yeah, I was just going to say, about 15 years ago, everything kind of changed for you, didn't it?
Yes.
So how did you find your way to mindfulness?
It was a colleague, actually. It was a colleague who had a male colleague. I've been knocking men. Let's give a vote for the for the good ones. A male colleague of mine, bless him. He put me in touch with someone that he'd been working with, and I went along to a mindfulness session. Back in those days, it wasn't all Zoom and wonderful things, so I actually physically went to a mindfulness session. And we discovered that that moment of being able to be aware of yourself and reflect, and then carry that awareness back into your life, really helped me. It made me realize that everything wasn't all gloom and doom, that I was enough, that what I was doing was good and I was capable. And it was reaffirming all those good things that I knew about myself. And mindfulness really gave me some techniques and some ability to learn how to use that more successfully. Now, I'll freely confess, I'm not one of these mindfulness people who spends, half an hour a day in meditation. I just can't do that. That's not for me. I can't do that. I don't have that much attention span. But what I can do, and what I do, is I have little moments of mindfulness throughout my day where I can just reflect and come back to myself and take a moment. And those little moments throughout my day just keep me ticking along. And that's what I found is really good.
And so I have empathise with your journey and have drawn myself on mindfulness, and I was part of the Western Buddhist order, and I did a whole load of enlightenment intensives. And I think one of the things I find really powerful about mindfulness is it brings you into the now. And so much of our anxiety is about what hasn't happened yet and probably wouldn't happen, but we, project into the future, or we stay mired in the past. And I know I've really drawn on it throughout this year with COVID and isolation, and it's just taken me into the power of now. And then I have an overwhelming sense of gratitude for what I have.
Yes. And that's a really important time. And I think everybody this year, good old 2020, who knew, this year has made everybody do that reassessment of themselves. And they've either coped really well with it, or they have not coped. And for me, it was an opportunity to finally do what really makes me feel fantastic. And that's helping other people explore this ability to sit in the now, be aware of yourself, have that gratitude that you mentioned, Siobhan. That's so important. And it kind of made a perfect storm in my life and my career. We moved out to France about 6 years ago. And since then, I've been nudging myself towards this. And this year, of course, IT work kind of dried up. So it was the moment, yay, let's do it. Let's take the plunge. And here I am, really focusing on doing mindfulness practice and being there for people. And, that's what the Aware Mind is all about.
Yeah, so I was going to say, after your own personal experience, you then went on to be trained and now qualified as
Yes.
a mindfulness practitioner, and out of that has come the Aware Mind. So the Aware Mind is it's a website, it's a place where people can reach out and contact you. And tell us a bit more about the Aware Mind.
Well, what I'm trying to do with the Aware Mind is allow people that opportunity to get to understand mindfulness, what it is and what it's not. It's not a perfect cure for depression and anxiety, and it's not just for depression and anxiety. It's really about being able to connect with yourself and allow yourself to understand what's happening to you. So it's a real journey of self-discovery without all the woo-woo bit around it. It's scientifically proven to work. It gives you health benefits. It does so many. It rewires your brain. It does so many amazing things. But it's about practice. And like everything, if you were learning tennis or you were, I don't know, learning golf or something like that, then you wouldn't expect to pick it up and be brilliant at it straight away. So what you do is you get a coach or you get a trainer and you get some assistance with it and you get a few lessons in it, and then you go away and have a practice, and then you come back to your teacher and say, how's this, and how am I doing, and can I get it, can you help me get it better? And it's about doing that thing that enables you to do that. And that's what I want to do with the Aware Mind. It's give people that access to my experience. I've been doing this a long time, and finally being qualified, if you like. I now feel I'm more than just helping people on a casual basis. I feel I've got the competencies and the skills now to really give people some true help and to be that coach and to help them find their own mindful path.
Yeah, because I think you mentioned it, and I'm sure many of our viewers in the same situation. It's having that discipline to do it, isn't it? And
Yes.
I found that one of the great things about having a session with you is that creates the space,
Yes.
and I think that's where it's very useful. I know that
Yeah.
you also you shared with us about the 7 behaviours. Because that also helped me to understand and give me almost like a structure of how to be in that mindful state. So share with us a bit about the 7 behaviours.
Well, the 7 behaviours were identified by a gentleman by the name of John Kabat-Zinn, who in the 70s kind of extracted bits of Buddhist theory and all these wonderful teachings that have been around for thousands of years. This isn't new. This is very good old stuff. It's tried and tested. And he kind of condensed it into something that Western minds could grasp. And what he came up with was seven behaviours. And these are things like non-judgmental, patience, acceptance, letting go, non-striving. Oh gosh, I've got to 5. What are the other 2? Trust is another one. And curiosity, the beginner's mind. And actually, I left that one till last and nearly forgot it. But that's the one for me that really does it. It's that looking at things from a curious perspective and going, oh, what is that? What am I really feeling? Is that really something that I need to panic about? And it's exactly as you said, Siobhan, we spend so much time fretting about the things that might happen. And if you look at the things that, that you worried about and you go back and you do that 2020 hindsight, how many of them actually came through? How many of them actually happened?
I really got this. I had the privilege of accompanying my mum to end of life.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I remember kind of a couple of days before she passed on, my mum was famous for being a worrier. Worried about everything, all these terrible things were going to happen, and we, often would tease her a lot, because she would create all of these scenarios that she had to worry about. And it really hit me at that moment, at the end of her life.
Yeah.
Virtually none of the things that she worried about came true.
No.
And I was really aware of the loss of energy that could have been.
Yeah.
She was such a
Yeah.
beautiful soul and had such a loving, caring soul. how much the world lost out on that, because so much
Yeah.
of that energy was focused on worrying about things that didn't even exist.
Yeah. And it's such a shame, isn't it? And but it's so human to do that. It's a
Yeah.
real, human need. And I think, again, I'm making huge generalizations about the sexes, but women do it more than men. We fret more about the potential things that might happen to those that we care for, because we have this nurturing, caring responsibility. And whether or not the blokes are just as good at it, we don't know, because society doesn't really accept that. And it's kind of societal energies that are pushed into the women do the caring, the women do the cleaning, and so forth. And whether or not we'll ever break that, I don't know. But in the meantime, we have to cope with it. So, I'd love to change society. Yay, let's go crazy. Let's have a revolution. But actually, no, I still need to get the laundry done, and I still need to get the shopping done, and I still need to deal with that stress of being the person who has to say, well, I'm sorry, it's 5 o'clock. I've got to leave work now because I've got to go and pick up the kids. And getting the tuts from your male colleagues who go, part-timer, and you just kind of go, really? You're going home, as you said earlier, you're going home to have your shirts ironed and your dinner cooked. I'm going home so that I can do that.
Yeah.
And I've just done exactly what you've done all day. So we put so much worry and pressure on ourselves. And wouldn't it be lovely if we could just learn how to enjoy our now moments? I say, I can't do massive meditations, but what I allow myself is the joy of experiencing the now
And I find your
day.
And I was just going to say, I find your voice very meditative anyway, and I've had to move on to go to relaxation as I'm listening to you. So
I have been blessed.
So people can find you at theawaremind.org.
They can, yes, the Aware Mind.
So you've frozen for a moment, Helen. I think we're going to keep going and see what happens. So we had a bit of technical trouble there, didn't we? We froze. So Helen, we were up to talking about your website and how people can reach out to you. So that's www.theawaremind.org.
It is, yes. And you'll end up on the homepage, which tells you a little bit about what I do and what we want to achieve. But if you go to the contact page, then you'll find email address, phone number, all of those things that you need to get in touch. Email is probably the easiest. So you can either use contact@theawaremind.org, or you can contact me personally at helen@theawaremind.org. I've kept it simple for me, really. And on our website, you can also see there are programs that we advertise of 8-week courses, individual courses, all sorts of things like that. So you can really have a go and have a look round.
And there's your beautiful dogs in the background as well.
There's my beautiful dogs in the background.
Both devotees to the 4-legged ones. Helen, it's been lovely chatting with you today and learning more. And I, as a beneficiary of your process, I can't recommend it highly enough. And
thank you.
and I've really got a lot from the particular model that you use. So
that's
thank
wonderful.
you.
And thank you very much indeed for your time.
Wherever you are in the world, if the sun isn't shining in your skies, may it shine in your heart. This is Siobhan and Helen signing out of Silver Tent TV.